Hey guys, it's Psychosis here, and today I wanted to make a reaction video again, and this time for another article, and this one just came out today, and it's been making the rounds in the Christian metal scenes, and websites and stuff, so websites or Christian metal related, pages and stuff, so I wanted to make a reaction video as a Christian metalhead reacting to this article about Christian metal albums that's written by a more general secular journalism site. And yeah, metal journalism, especially like video game journalism, isn't exactly the most respected, but I still wanted to make a reaction. And yeah, and so today I'll be reacting to this article titled 10 Christian metal albums that actually don't suck. And starting off with, you get the title and then this little subtitle, Good Christian Metal. It exists, with an exclamation point, trying to be all ecstatic about it, as if it's a big surprise. Because people just act like Christian metal albums and Christian metal in general just suck. And there is a lot of bad Christian metal. As a Christian metalhead who loves Christian metal, a lot of it is really bad. But there's a ton of really good stuff. You just have to dig. But yeah, and then we had a picture of some artists. I don't even think who band that is. Who that is. And then we get this little starting blurb. Christian metal is amongst the worst of the metal subgenres. Preachy garbage that turns its nose at the genre while also using it as a commodity, but some Christian bands truly embrace the brutality and chaos of metal. And that's actually funny because Christian metal is not a subgenre. It's a scene in the music genre of metal, but it's not a genre in itself. It's like with Viking metal. It's not a genre in itself. It's just a scene or a specific sound, but well, that would be a genre. Stupid pop-ups. But yeah, see, that's what I mean. These websites annoy me though, because they're neutral about things, but the minute you bring up Christianity or Christian metal, they just have this obvious like bias against it, and they just like don't care and just absolutely do not respect it. I don't know what it is, but with every other thing, they're just whatever, neutral. But then Christianity pops in the scene, and they're just mad about it. But anyways, let's just get going. And then you get these bands are gonna make killer albums that just happen to have Christian themes, whether it be death metal, black metal, thrash, or classic heavy metal. Check them out. And that's just what's funny. See, this just omits this. They call Christian metal a subgenre itself, but then they mention all the other extreme and non-extreme metal genres that most people know. And as you can see just by this alone, you'll already tell there's not gonna probably be much modern metal albums on here. But okay, let's just get into it. And starting off with, we have Sacrament, Testimony of Apocalypse. And I do know this album. I have listened to this a few times. I almost actually bought this on CD once, but it's sold out. And yeah, the artwork is kind of goofy. But yeah, I thought this was a good album. It doesn't reinvent the wheel. It's not the most crazy album in existence, but I thought it was a good album. But I mean, to say it's like this amazing album is kind of silly, because it's good, but it's not amazing. I've heard there are some better Christian metal thrash albums out there, and yeah, these pop-ups are annoying. And yeah, and then next up we have Mortification, Scrolls of Megalith. And this one I absolutely love. This is actually not just a favorite Christian metal album for me, but a favorite death metal album as well. I love this album. And this is probably the best album that Mortification's ever made. See, it's got actually really sick artwork. And I love the music video for the title song. It's awesome. But yeah, it's just an awesome Christian death metal album. Yeah, like I said, it's among one of my favorite death metals of all time, too. It's just awesome. And definitely their best. And yeah, this band is a crazy massive discography, so a lot of their albums are pretty rough or just average, but this one is not one of those. This one is a must listen. And it's funny they say it's an almost a Christian version of Morbid Angel. This does not even sound like Morbid Angel. See, that's just what's funny. These people don't even know what they're talking about. But yeah, and next up we have Bride Live to Die. And I do not know this album. The description sounds is like an 80s heavy metal type sound. Yeah, and I don't really wouldn't know that then. I don't really listen to much heavy metal. But yeah, the artwork is sick though. I really like this artwork in the old English lettering. And this artwork of like a Grim Reaper on the horse. I think that's sick. And then like angels or demons. I like that. It's pretty, artwork is sick. But I don't know this album. I don't know if I would like it. But it's kind of a goofy pick. Kind of an interesting list so far, if you ask me. And then we have Crimson Moonlight Veil of Remembrance. And now this is a nice pick. Because Crimson Moonlight is one of the most well-known unblack metal bands. I do like unblack metal. And yeah, they have a more melodic sound, which is really what makes them good. And a more orthodox lyrical themes, which I really vibe with these days. Yeah, I did not like their newest EP though, but yeah, this and all their other albums are good though, really good though. But I'm surprised that they picked this to like say good Christian metal album. They picked Crimson Moonlight over like Antester or Schlechtvalk or any of the other iconic or really good ones, or Horde. I don't know why they didn't pick Horde. But yeah, kind of a really funny pick. But yeah, really nice and pick though, in my opinion. And then we have The Crucified, The Pillars of Humanity. And yeah, Christian crossover thrash. I have heard this one. At first I thought I didn't, but that's because on Spotify this album has different artwork. So instead of this like generic thrash artwork, old school thrashy artwork, it's got like a more modernized one that doesn't look as good at the same time but better. Yeah, because this just looks like Eccentric's artwork or whatever. But yeah, I didn't really like this one too much from what I remember of it. They say Christian crossover thrash. Wow. Well, I did not think this one was great. But I'm also very critical of thrash metal. I have a very love-hate relationship with it, so kind of have some slight bias there, I will admit. I will admit that. And then we have Thou Where Blood and Fire Bring Rest. And here, this album is sick. I love this album. Christian metalcore. Well, this band used to be a Christian band. They've always been like one of the most iconic and best bands out there, among the best. Not my favorite, but this album is great. Highly recommend this one. And yeah, see, the arc is perfect of that. Listen to Zao is like and exploding into fire. Yeah, just really awesome. Not my favorite album, but definitely one I'd highly recommend. Definitely the best one on this list so far. And then we have Believer Sanity Obscure. And I do know this band. I have listened to another one of their albums, and it was really awesome, in my opinion. But this one, I have not listened to this album by them. I listened to their other one, because they have two main albums. But yeah, this is one I have not heard. But yeah, this is nice that they remember to think of them and add them to this list. And then we have Tourniquet Pathogenic Ocular Dissonance. And I have never listened to Tourniquet. They're like one of the most well-known Christian metal bands in existence. and I have never listened to them, but maybe it's because they're just not what I'm into. As you can see, the artwork looks more power metal-y, heavy metalist, 80s metal. Not my thing at all. So that's probably why. Yeah, and they mention, thrash metal artists. Yeah, not really my thing. And then next up we have Extol Burial, and this is probably actually, aside from the Zao album, this is probably the best album on this list. I love this album. I actually bought this on CD for myself, I think. I either bought it or got it as a gift, but I have this on CD because they reissued it and I just had to get it because this album is awesome. It's like progressive melodic death metal. It is sick. And this specific song, Celestial Completion, I haven't even learned this song. I tried to learn on guitar, but I could never get the time signatures right. It's definitely not 4/4, but very sick. Yeah, big melodic riffs, atmospheric soundscapes. Yeah, this album was just great, and the craziest thing is they were like kids when they made this album, and this is definitely their best one they ever made. I highly recommend this. This is another favorite death metal album of all time for me, Christian metal or not. This album is just fantastic. And then we have Bloodgood Detonation. And I don't know this album, but as you can see, this album actually has really sick artwork. But it also reveals another funny thing I noticed of a lot of Christian metal albums, is they have this like old school-esque artwork even in the modern day. And the artwork looks kind of bad and cringy, but it also just looks sick. So he's got like stony scales and like a guitar. It's just with like the sky, dark sky. It does look pretty sweet. But yeah, I don't know this album. But wait, that was it. Okay. Yeah, that was all 10. Anyways, yeah. That's just a kind of funny thing I noticed, but yeah. This is just a goofy... Yeah, this is just a goofy list, honestly. It says, in my opinion, just for 10 albums that are really good, and these are the examples, I think there's just way better examples out there for a lot of these. I mean, the Zao one and the Extol one, Believer maybe, I would keep, but a lot of these I would change. But just a very goofy list. And Mortification I would keep. But yeah, this list is just super goofy. But it's also just another instance of just how these writers are. I don't know why they have this like bias towards Christianity and Christian metal. Like, I don't know. They write in a standard journalistic sense where they're just like always trying to be neutral, but then it's like I said, as soon as Christianity is brought into the scene, they just become like very biased and like very negative about it, and just clearly like they just don't care about it right off the get-go. But yeah, just a kind of goofy blog, but then again, it's a metal journalism site, so take it with a grain of salt. These pages have people give them little respect to begin with. They don't really deserve much, but at least in my opinion. But yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed. That's my reaction, guys. I hope you enjoyed my reaction to this article. It was just meh, okay, could have been better, and just kind of goofy. And just another funny thing with like, Christian metal is not a subgenre. I don't know why people act like it is. But yeah. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this reaction video I have made, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.